Failure after failure after failure. Bethesda continues to let its fans down and even go as far as openly calling their fans stupid for not understanding their vision. Their story writing getting worse and worse every year, failing to deliver on their promises of new adventure and even backing out of the movie business. Is Bethesda cooked, and why? The answer lies buried deep into a backstory laden with betrayal, scandal, and even death. Stay for the whole video for the huge plot twist, and if you end up liking the video, be sure to leave an up thumb and subscribe so we can get you all of our latest content. Now, we're gonna go back, but don't worry, the quick recap is just to set some context. Bethesda Softworks was founded in 1986 by Christopher Weaver in Bethesda, Maryland. Initially, the company was known for sports simulation games, but gained massive recognition with the release of their Elder Scrolls series. In 1999, ZeniMax Media was founded by Christopher Weaver and Robert A. Altman. ZeniMax had acted as a parent company to Bethesda Softworks, providing the business infrastructure while allowing the creative freedom of the developers. But then, the big fallout between the two happened. The story of ZeniMax and the fallout between its co-founders Christopher Weaver and Robert A. Altman is both fascinating and complex, filled with legal battles, corporate maneuvering, and personal drama. For more on that, be sure to check out the series Bethesda vs. ZeniMax in the upper corner. Now, Chris Weaver was the visionary behind Bethesda's success as a developer, while Altman, a lawyer and businessman, brought the necessary legal and financial expertise to help the company grow. Altman had a background in corporate law and high-profile legal work, which would have been valuable as Bethesda expanded. Together, Weaver and Altman aimed to elevate Bethesda and its projects to new heights. While ZeniMax was growing, tensions began to rise between Weaver and Altman over the direction of the company. Weaver had been instrumental in establishing Bethesda's creative vision. He had become increasingly concerned with how the company was being managed under Altman's leadership. Weaver believed Altman's business decisions were moving ZeniMax and Bethesda away from the creative principles that made them successful. The breaking point came in 2002 when Altman, with the support of ZeniMax's board of directors, moved to oust Weaver from an operational role in the company. According to legal filings and Weaver's own statements, he was forced out of ZeniMax through a combination of board maneuvering and legal battles, which resulted in Altman taking full control of the company. This was particularly shocking because Weaver had been the original founder of Bethesda and a major stakeholder in the company. In response, Weaver filed a lawsuit against ZeniMax and Altman, claiming that he had been wrongfully removed and that Altman had essentially taken over the company in a hostile manner. He argued that ZeniMax was attempting to erase his influence and legacy from Bethesda, despite the fact that his work had laid the foundation for the company's success. Weaver called the actions a betrayal, pointing out that Altman and the board had used his own creation to push him out. Weaver's lawsuit against ZeniMax Media dragged on for years, with both sides presenting arguments about who was truly responsible for the company's success and the direction it should take. During this period, Altman remained firmly in control of ZeniMax, overseeing the company's operations and expansion. The lawsuit was settled out of court in 2007 for an undisclosed amount, but it is believed that Weaver received a significant payout. After the settlement, Weaver no longer had any role in the day-to-day operations of ZeniMax or Bethesda, although he reportedly retained a minority stake in ZeniMax. After ousting Weaver, Altman successfully led ZeniMax Media through an era of significant growth. Under Altman's leadership, ZeniMax acquired several other game studios and continued towards success. While there aren't many detailed public interviews or primary sources directly quoting Christopher Weaver regarding his ousting, there are references to his thoughts and perspectives in a few key interviews and articles. One is the Polygon interview, 2016. In an interview with Polygon, Weaver briefly touched on his departure from ZeniMax Media, expressing disappointment with the way things unfolded. He mentioned feeling betrayed and stated that he admired the success of Bethesda and ZeniMax. He was not pleased with the business maneuvers that led to his departure. But that was Altman's plan all along. Having been a lawyer, trained by top lawyers, and even those in the White House, Altman knew how to make money, and he was going to do it by selling the company. In September 2020, Microsoft announced that it would acquire ZeniMax Media, including all its subsidiaries like Bethesda Game Studios, for $7.5 billion. This was one of the largest acquisitions in gaming history, and a strategic move by Microsoft to bolster its Xbox Game Studios division and expand its Game Pass subscription service with more high-profile titles. You can bet your sweet-ass sweet roll that Robert Altman spent years setting this deal up. Biggest reasons being, by acquiring ZeniMax, Microsoft had added popular franchises like The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, and Dishonored to its Game Pass catalog, significantly increasing the service's value proposition. Unfortunately, one of the best mobile adventure games out there became a casualty in the aftermath. The Elder Scrolls Blades, a free-to-play mobile game launched by Bethesda in 2019, aiming to bring a version of the Elder Scrolls experience to mobile platforms. This was halted from further development. But despite its rocky reception, Bethesda had ongoing development plans for Blades, including new content updates, features, and expansions. However, after Microsoft's acquisition, support for the game began to decline. The release of new updates slowed down significantly, and Bethesda's focus shifted towards larger projects like Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. While The Elder Scrolls Blades is still playable, its development has effectively been put on hold, and no major updates have been released since the acquisition. What's even worse, in a strange and tragic turn of events, Robert A. Altman, CEO and co-founder of ZeniMax Media, passed away unexpectedly on February 3rd, 2021, just a few months after the Microsoft acquisition deal was finalized. Altman's death was described as sudden, and the official cause was reported to be complications from a medical procedure. Although no further details were publicly disclosed, his death sent shockwaves through the gaming community, particularly given the timing. Altman had been a key figure in negotiating the sale of ZeniMax to Microsoft, and his passing occurred just before the acquisition was fully completed. There has been no concrete evidence or indication of foul play surrounding Altman's death, though some fans have speculated about the timing, given that Altman died just months after securing one of the largest deals in gaming history. However, this is likely coincidental, and it's important to note that sudden deaths, especially due to medical complications, can happen without nefarious causes. Now, there are no widely reported comments from Christopher Weaver directly addressing Robert Altman's death. Despite their legal and personal battles in the early 2000s, Weaver has often taken a respectful tone in interviews about his former partner and their shared work at ZeniMax. In past interviews, Weaver expressed admiration for what ZeniMax accomplished after his departure, even if he disagreed with the methods Altman used to gain control of the company. However, when it comes to Altman's sudden death in February 2021, Weaver appears to have remained silent, at least publicly. Now, in the background of all this, Todd Howard's journey at Bethesda Game Studios is one of the most fascinating stories in the gaming industry, especially given how central he has become to the company's identity and success. He rose through the ranks to become the creative visionary behind some of Bethesda's most iconic franchises, including The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Todd Howard joined Bethesda Softworks in 1994, just a few years after graduating from the College of William and Mary, where he studied business and engineering. Howard was passionate about video games from a young age and admired classic games like Ultima 3 and Wizardry, which inspired him to pursue a career in game development. After being rejected by Bethesda not once, but twice, He was eventually hired as a producer and designer in the mid-1990s. At the time, Bethesda was a relatively small company. Howard's first project was working on The Terminator, a first-person shooter that gained attention for its innovative 3D engine and open environments. While the game wasn't a massive commercial hit, it demonstrated Howard's ability to work on ambitious projects and pushed him further into the company's spotlight. Howard's big break came when he was appointed project leader for The Elder Scrolls II: Daggerfall. This is his most significant contributions would be felt later with The Elder Scrolls III: Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion, and especially The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Another pivotal moment for Howard came when Bethesda acquired the rights to Fallout. He took charge of revitalizing the series with Fallout 3 as the first major release under Bethesda's banner. It was an enormous success, receiving critical acclaim for its storytelling, open-world mechanics, and innovative VATS, Vault Tech-Assisted Targeting System. Howard's leadership on Fallout 3 not only resurrected the series, but also established Bethesda as a dominant player in the RPG genre, alongside franchises like The Elder Scrolls. Throughout his career, Todd Howard worked under the ownership of ZeniMax Media after its formation in 1999, which acted as Bethesda's parent company. Although Howard wasn't directly involved in the corporate and legal battles between ZeniMax co-founders Christopher Weaver and Robert Altman, his rise in the company came during this tumultuous period. During the ZeniMax era, Howard continued to lead Bethesda's major franchises and played a crucial role in defining the company's brand identity. With Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax in 2020, Howard continued to be a central figure at Bethesda. In fact, Microsoft's leadership has gone out of its way to ensure that Bethesda retains its creative autonomy, with Howard overseeing major upcoming projects like Starfield and The Elder Scrolls VI. However, more recently, the game company began a sharp decline. One of the most significant turning points for Bethesda was the release of Fallout 76. The game, an online multiplayer entry into the beloved Fallout franchise, was highly anticipated but became infamous for its buggy launch, lackluster content, and overall poor reception. Criticism ranged from game-breaking bugs to design choices that alienated longtime fans of the series, who had come to expect the depth of storytelling and single-player experiences Bethesda was known for. Thinking that Bethesda would learn from something like this same turning point showed up again at the launch of Starfield. Fans continued to be disappointed. Bethesda came back with another DLC, which only brought more disappointment from the Starfield fans once again. As for Todd Howard's announcement that he won't be making movies, this is tied to the experience of adapting Fallout into a live-action project, as well as the broader challenges of bringing video game franchises into other media forms. Bethesda partnered with Amazon to produce a Fallout TV series, with Todd Howard involved in its development. However, game-to-TV or movie adaptations often face unique challenges, particularly when it comes to capturing the essence of a game in a different medium. It's possible that Howard, while excited about the project, found the process more difficult or creatively draining than he anticipated. Today, it's clear that it's not the powerhouse it once was. The failure of Fallout 76, the delays in releasing major titles like Elder Scrolls VI, and the failures with Starfield, their DLC, and the shift in focus under Microsoft's ownership have all contributed to a perception that Bethesda may no longer be the innovative studio it once was. As for Todd Howard, his decision to avoid further involvement in movies and TV likely stems from a creative fatigue and realization that his talents are best suited for game development. However, as Howard approaches the end of his career, especially with The Elder Scrolls VI being one of his final planned projects, there is uncertainty about Bethesda's future without its long-standing leader and whether it can return to its former glory. Shoutout of the week goes out to Kurufimo. Thank you for your support and for your awesome comments. Now, you too have one more subscriber.